brilliant. Thank you.
Right.
Kristina, welcome to the Hustlin with Houses podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Firstly, I think a lot of people probably know who you are already. 9 years, was it 9 years ago you were a singer?
Yeah, 10 years, like 10 years. Well, I started property 10 years ago, so there was a crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what changed then? Where was the sort of catalyst for change there?
So I'd been singing professionally from 18 for a good solid 10 years, and I loved it. So you know when like loads of people do the pictures of like before, now, my before pictures are bloody brilliant because I was like in shows, I was like travelling the world. So I don't have any of that. It's just more that I'm quite security driven.
Yeah.
So I always knew, like, I love what I'm doing, but it was like a ticking time bomb for me of like always just intrigued to like how are these people driving these cars, how do people afford this, like I just was always trying to work out what is the answer, like and also as well, unless you're famous, it's not like we don't earn money, we do. Like some of my best friends earn a cracking wage, living a great life, but it's just unstable. And so I just knew like one day I'll have a family. I'm not going to I can't go on cruise ships if I've got a family, or I can't take a 6-month contract, I can't take a 9-month tour. It's very restrictive, and you kind of like, it takes everything as a performer. If your agent phones and says you need to be in London tomorrow, like you've got to go, and how can you do that if you've got like a baby or whatever? So I always knew like one day the time would come when I would look for something that would give me security, and then property came along.
Yeah. I think a massive thing, like you just said there, is curiosity, isn't it? Curiosity is like, if you have curiosity, you are going to find a way regardless. Yeah. But you've gone from a singer. Was the money good in singing?
So, all right, like probably 30-40 grand a year.
Yeah.
But for not doing that much.
Yeah.
That's the like the thing is I'd have all my daytime off, and then I'd rock up at 8 o'clock and I'd do an hour's worth of singing. Yeah. Or I'd be in a show, and so just every contract's different, but it was a cushy life, really. Yeah.
So you were doing the singing, and then you went. From now, you bought sort of over 30 properties, haven't you? Yeah. So how did that happen then? Because obviously you've done, it is mad, it's crazy. So you've done, obviously, did you find training or something like that? And then what happened there then?
Right, so in between, so this is that I was singing, I was, at the time, I was living in London, and I did feel poor. When I lived in London, I felt like this big in a city I found it just overwhelming, actually, overwhelmed me. And it was the first time when I really felt like, oh, this is horrible. I can't, there's all these shows and I can't bloody afford to go to them. You know, like just felt, so I wouldn't say I was desperate, but I was nearing. You know, like, something needs to happen. And then I got approached about network marketing. Now, at the time, this is, 15 years ago. This is before it, like, everyone kind of knows what network marketing is. But this was when it wasn't, no one really knew what it was. And my friend was earning loads of money. So I was just like, whatever it is, I'll do
Get
it.
me involved.
Yeah, whatever it is, I'm up for it, And the great thing about that is, I never earned huge amounts. I earned a bit of money, but not huge amounts. But what she said, the first thing she said is, right, you need to get this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah. You need to read that. And obviously then I started learning about trading your time for money and passive income and multiple income streams and all of that stuff. And literally like that, it changed. Like my mind was just like, well, of course I'm never going to get rich as a singer unless I'm famous, because I'm trading my time for money. Yeah. I can only be in this one show. Yeah. I can't do multiple. So anyway, over those few years that I was doing network marketing, I just evolved so much as a person, as a business owner. I was obsessed. Like every time I was in my car doing a lot of travelling, I just listened to every audiobook you can imagine on personal growth, on like the success habits, just all that stuff that business owners need to know. So it kind of primed me ready for when the opportunity came for property. I was already primed. if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And you spent some money on training. Did you start with sort of not much money to go into buying properties, or did you have a bit of money to go into?
So I had some savings. I'd saved over the years I think I had about 16 grand saved up.
Yeah.
And so I went to a free seminar. It was a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar, which was basically a sales pitch to go on their 3-day training. So I was like absolutely all in. And then off the back of that, it was like a big upsell for like an 18 grand package to learn how to be a property investor. And for my situation, I was renting. I'd never got a mortgage. The language was so different. I'm like a singer and I'm learning about all these property strategies. Yeah. And also I did have the mindset of actually like I will invest in me because it'll pay off, and I want a mentor and I want someone that's done it to show me how to do it. I do believe in that. And I still have that mindset today. So the training was 18 and I had 16, so I put a couple of grand on the credit cards as well. My mum and dad went mental. Honestly, they were like, they got my accountant to ring me and say I was being scammed and everything. I wobbled.
Oh my God.
I wobbled, I really wobbled.
But your mum and dad got the accountant to ring? Oh my God.
My accountant to ring me and like, I've looked into this company.
I wobbled.
Yeah, I was like really wobbling.
I'm not surprised.
But then I just thought, I was wobbling, but then I thought, well, if I then just, because you've got 14 days to cancel your contract. So I was like, I can cancel my contract, and then what am I going to do? Yeah. Then I'm just on my own again. And I don't, just thought, oh, sod it, I'll do it. Yeah. So at that point then I had no money. I was minus money. Yeah. Wow. Looking back, it was all worth it, was it? Or oh God, yeah. It was like, I think back with like such fondness. Yeah. Yeah, just like that feeling of pure, I just knew. I just had this knowing of like, this is going to change my life. I just knew. That's amazing. So obviously then, because you've just said about a bit of a mindset shift, was it a mindset shift? Because obviously you had to raise money from investors and stuff from the off. Oh, yeah. So was that a mindset shift as well, or was that how was that for you? Yeah, terrifying. That was my biggest block. Was it? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot of people's biggest block, isn't it? Yeah. How did you sort of overcome that then? Just action. Just action. Yeah, just shitting myself, really. Like finding deals and then like backing myself into a corner where, I mean, there were times that my first couple of deals, I was negotiating. They were direct to vendor with a guy that was selling off a block of 5 flats and a 6-bed HMO. And they were quite distressed, needed refurbs. He hated tenants. He was just like done. And because I didn't have the money, I didn't know what I was doing, I just kept negotiating down and down and down. Until it got to the point where I'd negotiated 79 grand each for these. I know, can you imagine? But it was because I was just like, needed to go down. And then eventually I was like, I definitely need to buy these. Yeah. I was like, I'll just source them. And I thought, no. You need to just do it. So, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just thought, I'll keep speaking to people. And with the first few, it was with one person, and we became joint venture partners. Yeah, I've seen that. I think I read that somewhere or listened to it somewhere. Yeah. And that was like the first 5 or 6, wasn't it? And then you realised like I wanted to do it for myself then. Exactly. It was a good learning and it's great, but it gave me some confidence and some painful experiences as well. Yeah, I can imagine. To then go, actually, I want to do this for myself and buy my own name. Yeah. So how was that at that point? So was that all in his name? Everything was all in his name. Yeah. Yeah. So how was it working for you then? Were you project managing, getting a fee, stuff like that? So it was essentially a profit share. I see. And what I was amazing at finding deals. So I was just constantly viewing, negotiating, had really good relationships with the agents, builders, letting agents. Like he didn't even view. He didn't even see most of the properties. I didn't even see them. Yeah. That's incredible. I know, yeah. But that's a mindset shift as well for for me. And some people genuinely aren't bothered, and they know property, especially if they're quite rich and wealthy. They know property is a safe asset. So, but for someone who's not been around stuff like that, like me a few years back, and getting in your mind that people are willing to invest, and without even seeing it sometimes, like you've done there. Yeah. But one thing so what year was this then? Like, was this? So 2014. Okay. It was like the 31st of October, because it was Halloween, and I had this horrific haircut. And I looked I looked like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. You know, that bowl cut. I remember getting a bowl cut and like wanting to cry, but also being overjoyed by completing on these 2 properties on the same day and just being like, but looking horrific, looking like Jim Carrey. So that's why it sticks in my head, because it's Halloween.
Yeah, that's hilarious. 10 years, but so then. And now you've obviously grew a massive Instagram following, like a massive social media presence. How did that come about? Like, is that from just consistent posting and stuff like that? How did you manage to grow that? Because you've been on sort of GB News and you've been all over the media and stuff. So you're flying with all that kind of stuff.
I've just been at it a long time. I've been quite consistently average, I would say. Like there's some people that really go for it and they are hats off, whereas I've just been slow and steady. I've always used my personality. I've always just like kind of brought me to the table, and I've always been very honest with my posts as well. So some posts you know, flying high, and there's other posts I'm like, well, that didn't work, this has been a shit year. You know, like I've kind of just been quite open with it.
You're definitely real. Like I was listening to a podcast of yours, and one thing I absolutely loved, like it was so real. You were saying about raising investor finance, and you're basically saying raising investor finance and private investors and stuff like that, and you were like, but he's just my mum's mate, and it was like so real. Like I was just like, that is so true. It comes across like corporate, and that's what scares a lot of people, I think, because it's like raising it, so you automatically think like, you know, a multi-millionaire which you could be, and it can be quite intimidating. But you just said, oh, he's my mum's mate, or it's a dancer who you used to dance with, and it's just incredible. Like, I loved how real that was, because a lot of people don't say it like that. They like to say, oh, it's just, you know, a corporate or whatever, and I just think that was really real, and I think that's why.
I think in property as well, and this is something, so I released my book in September, and the one thing that I wanted was to use normal language, to normalise it, because someone said to me quite recently, they said the reason they like my book is it's the first book they've read that makes them feel like they can do it. It's empowering. Whereas a lot of people write books to make them feel good. They write books and they use like all this corporate language, and it's because it makes them look like I'm such a business person. I didn't want to do that. So actually, so you know, I think sometimes people can overcomplicate what it is. But so I just wanted to normalise it and use normal language. And it literally is like your mum's mate.
That's what I love though, because like again, for people it can be quite intimidating, and you can you don't know who's got money. So someone like a dancer or whoever, I think a police officer was one, wasn't it, or something? All kinds of people. So like these are just everyday normal people, and people do have money in the bank. You don't know who does and who doesn't. How did you? So was that a case of just telling everyone what you do then? Was that your sort of...
Yeah, so what I was doing, so this is before Instagram as well, so it's making me sound quite old, but Facebook was the thing. So what I was doing was constantly sharing my progress of what I was doing in property. So I was just, you know, taking pictures of houses I'm viewing, and I'm negotiating on this, and boom, had an offer accepted. And I was just constantly putting out that my day-to-day reality of what I was doing, and then going, right, had this accepted, looking for finance on this. And I don't even know if you meant to do that really, but I did. I was like putting on Facebook, right guys, got a deal, 60 grand, 6 grand a year interest, DM me. And my DMs were like blowing up with
really?
People.
It's crazy that, isn't it?
People I've met once at like a networking or whatever, just random people coming to the surface being like, what is it? Oh yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, just I'm making it sound easy, and that it wasn't all, you know, sometimes I'd be like, oh, well, that didn't work. But generally, that's kind of, I didn't overthink it. It was probably really messy. And some people are like, oh, Christ, what's she doing? But I just did it. I didn't overthink it. That's it.
I think that's a massive tip as well, just not overthinking it. Just, like you say, you're just you, aren't you? And you're you know, you're really good at that, and you're just yourself. So where was it you were investing then? Because I know you invest in Liverpool, you invest sort of...
Blackpool, Fylde Coast.
What's it called? I heard you say that on a podcast.
Blackpool and the Fylde Coast.
Is that what it is, the Fylde Coast? Is that like Liverpool, Blackpool?
It's literally, like, so it's a strip, so it starts in a place called Fleetwood, which is like the end of the world. And then it like goes... Fleetwood, Cleveland's, Blackpool, St Anne's, Lytham. It just runs this strip. And it's coastal. And at the time, so when I started investing, I lived there. I lived in Cleveland's. So when you know, spent loads of time doing due diligence and crunching numbers, and I was like, well, it works great here. it works here. Why would I go anywhere else? So I just invested where I lived because the numbers were great. Yeah. And that's it. I've never really looked back. And I live in Liverpool, and everyone says, why don't you invest in Liverpool? Sometimes I think, oh gosh, maybe I should also have invested in Liverpool. Yeah. But my team's there, my contacts are there, my builder's there. I know the areas really well. So why fix what's not broken? Yeah. Because I now live in Liverpool.
Yeah, of course. So are you still sort of buying now, still like rapid growth? Because obviously you had rapid growth, didn't you?
Rapid growth, yeah.
Rapid growth. How was that?
Stressful.
I can imagine.
I find property really stressful, and that's the thing. Like, people think, like, if you're successful, like that you're almost like people looking at this almost like this perfection. Yeah. But actually, I find it just as stressful as the next person, but I do it anyway. Yeah. And so I think. And I'm so glad that I've done it, because now I do have the passive income and I've got the assets. But yeah, it was really stressful, but amazing. It's just the roller coaster of your life. Yeah. So when I look back, I'm like, oh God, amazing. But then also terrifying, you know, like just so many things that happen that, you know, like I remember this is the time when everyone was buying in their own name. Yeah. And they just bought in this new thing of if you've got 4 or more, you become a portfolio landlord. There's all these phases you go through, and for whatever reason, I was having 3 remortgages going through at that point with the mortgage works. And all of a sudden, because I would become a portfolio landlord, they didn't want to lend anymore. And, you know, just mad stuff that you go through where you're just like, But it all sorted. And they did remortgage and got all the money out, blah, blah, blah. But you go through all these, like, phases and setbacks and stresses. And so I'd say it's been incredible. But it has been stressful. And I still find it stressful. Yeah. So in terms of what I'm doing now, I'm kind of consolidating, actually, because I've got a really good, solid portfolio. Yeah. So I kind of want to give my nerves a bit of a break and do some, just do some flips. Yeah. But then I am like obsessed now with buying HMO, because the market's changed from when I was buying HMOs. The market wasn't brilliant back then for HMOs, whereas now I'm like, the opportunity for HMOs are crazy. So then that's like in my head now, I want to buy a HMO. So I'll never stop because I love it. Yeah. But then also I am quite mindful of, like, I've got other things that I want to do. I'm really creative, so I'm really enjoying, I want to create courses and help people, and so I'm just mindful I don't spread myself too thin. Yeah, of course, and being self-aware, that's amazing. I'm definitely guilty of spreading myself way too thin. But so what did you do then? So have you done single lets? I know you've done single let BRRs, so you've done some HMOs and stuff like that, all in the same area. Yeah, so I started with HMOs and this random block of flats, then flips, got to 6, so 5 in total of HMOs, did a flip, and then started buying on my own. And I went back to basics and just bought loads of buy-to-lets, quite speedy, bashing them out. Then went to a little bit of mixed commercial, sharp, some flats above. Then started going into SA, so then I've got 11 serviced accommodation. And now, and so that's what brings me to now being like, okay, what do I want next? Like, what do I want more of? HMO. Yeah, and what is your favourite strategy at the moment? Well, of all time, sort of thing. You've obviously gone through the boring. I just love buy-to-lets because they're just, you don't hear a peep from them. And as well, because I've been in it now for just coming up for 10 years, it takes, like with property, it does take years, and it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah. You'll be disappointed if you think it is, because it's not really. But I've been in it long enough now to see the rents fly up and the mortgages stay small and the growth happen, and all of the stuff you hear of but you never think will happen to you they start to happen to me. And the great thing about the buy-to-lets is I'm looking at these tiny mortgages and the rents have like gone through the roof. And like that's quite satisfying, really. But with the service accommodation, because it's still quite new, I'm enjoying the cash flow, but I know that the rewards of that will be in another 5 years, where I'll start going, I can't believe I bought it. Like Empress Hall's insane, and that gives me a lot of joy. Because it's like almost like an event space. And the bookings are amazing and people love it. So it sleeps 20. Wow. It's incredible. And that actually gives me the opportunity to hold my own events there.
That's brilliant.
So I can be like, come to a day training, I'll teach you about property, but come to my gaff. Like, this is creatively.
So where's this?
This is in Blackpool.
Is it?
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
It's insane.
That sounds
insane.
insane.
Empress Hall. It's like a manor house.
Yeah.
With a Love Island style garden.
Yeah.
It's 4 stories, 10 bedrooms, got a cinema room, games
oh my
room.
God.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what was the script with that then? 'Cause you said something about creative finance there. So what was that?
Yeah, just private investors. Yeah, for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Private investors.
Yeah. So is that, how did you source your deals then? Is it just a case of scan and right move, or do you have any?
Yeah, a bit of it. So when I was in like the massive momentum of buying loads of buy-to-let, I was doing leaflet campaigns, and because I was in such momentum, there were, like, I'd have a neighbour, for example, seeing my builder refurb and going, oh, and then my builder going, she's buying all around here, and then, just a lot of direct-to-vendor stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of agents kind of feeding me deals before they were kind of going on the market. Yeah. All of that stuff, all the stuff you kind of hear of.
Yeah.
That was really what I was doing. And sometimes just right move. Like sometimes something comes, it's priced perfectly.
Yeah.
Or you spot a bit of an opportunity. And with Empress Hall, it was actually the top of the market.
Yeah.
Which I'm a bit upset about, because I'm like, oh, I could have got it cheaper.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Is this like a recent, like, sort of
2021?
Yeah.
2021, literally the top of the market, but it was listed incorrectly, and I kind of spotted it, and I thought, that's worth a view. I don't know what this is about, but it was listed as a 7-bed house, and it wasn't. It's a 10-bed with like 4 reception rooms.
Wow.
And just mad. Yeah, with like land at the back, and we've built a car park, and I just kind of spotted the opportunity and ran with it, really.
That's it. One thing I did want to touch on there is what you were saying is momentum. Like, I've realised now, I've only been, 3-4 years, but that's when you start seeing the momentum. That's when people need to stick to it.
Yeah.
And when obviously you were rapid, you scaled very, very quickly. But how did the momentum work for you in terms of, was it like a year, 2 year, 3 year? Because when I started like 4 years ago, slowly, 1 a year, and now it's getting to a point where it's, momentum's building, and it's amazing, but it's took years to get there. And I used to get myself down thinking, like, you see all these people like, oh my God, these are smashing it. How do I get to that point? Yeah. Well, you don't know how long they've been buying, and just other things. There's a lot of things, but how quickly did it go for you, basically?
So the first few years I was doing joint ventures, so it was like 6 in a couple of years. But then what happened was my confidence was really knocked, and I actually went through a phase of hating property. Like the HMOs weren't in a great area. It was just non-stop hassle for me. I wasn't getting paid as much as I thought I was going to get paid. It was just basically like a lot of disappointment, a lot of hard work, and then disappointment. I was being tested as builders really just
taking the piss,
massively taking the piss, threatening me, really awful stuff. Like, was like lying in bed, like crying because like really threatening me and stuff. So the first few years, even though I was buying stuff, I was actually quite miserable. After a few years, I was like, if this is what it is, then this is not passive. It's horrible. Maybe it's not for me. Yeah. So I actually had about a year of just being stuck, kind of being frozen in my tracks, and just like, I don't know what I want to do. And then I got a mentor, and I remember on our first coaching session, I just sat and cried. I literally just cried and cried and cried. Wow. I was like, I really want the outcome, but I actually hate it. Yeah. And then he just kind of didn't know what to do, really. Because he's a proper like big bloke, and he was a bit like, oh, hell, didn't sign up for this. Yeah. And I'm like, oh God. I know, yeah. And then he just kind of went, what are you moaning about? Just go back to basics, get on with it. Yeah. And he set me these tiny goals, and I am more money orientated, but it didn't work that well with him saying like, oh, watch your goal and give yourself a treat. It was really funny. He said, if you get an offer accepted, next time you come, I'll buy some fish and chips. Proper Blackpool girl. Yeah. Common as muck. I was like, what would you like? I was like, I want you to go out of your way, go to the chippy, get me some fish and chips, and then bring them to this hotel. Yeah. That's what he did. I'd make him go to the chippy, and we'd meet once a month. And we just kept it like so small, so simple. And he'd be like, just find a deal. And I'd find a deal and I'd go, right, raise the money. And it was like these baby steps. And the first one that I did on my own without a joint venture partner was like a 1-bed flat negotiated to 35 grand.
Wow.
So really small figures. So it was like, I've got the deal. Right, okay, now just raise, you need 35 grand for it. And you need 10 grand for the refurb. And the momentum happened just kind of accidentally. If someone said to me, you're going to buy 10 houses in the next 14 months, I would have been like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
But it's because I didn't see it like that. I looked at month on month on month, and then it just took you. The momentum took me.
Yeah. That's incredible. How important was that mentor for you at that time? Was that quite important? Or?
Yeah, because I was dead lonely.
Yeah.
I was really lonely. And like you say, you can go to property events and you can look around and think that everyone's doing all this amazing stuff and that you're the oddball that's just not cut out for it.
Yeah.
So I was just knocking. And also all my friends were singers as well. So I didn't have like, you know, friends that were kind of doing it. So I needed that person just to be able to, I mean, I didn't leave him alone for quite a while, to be honest, where I was just constantly like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? What about this? You know, just...
That's what they're there for, isn't
it? I just needed someone to be like, buy it.
Yeah, that's it. That's massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that completely.
That's all he'd do.
Yeah.
Look at me like, yeah,
it's
a good one. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but sometimes you need that, don't you? Just that's all you need. One thing I did see that you said on another podcast is like, which really resonated with me, is just owning who you are.
Yeah.
And I love that. I know it's like, it's true for me. I'm confident and stuff like that, but like owning who you are is a massive thing. I'm always one of these people who like, I never tell people what I'm doing. I'm a bit shy and stuff like that, even though I'm confident and I'm overly confident.
Is it because, are you scared of like are you worried what people think about you?
I think so.
That's the number one thing.
I think so. That's what it is. But I'm slowly getting out of that now, and I'm slowly thinking, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck
at
the end of the day?
Too short.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, everyone's so bothered what everyone thinks, and I'm like, are they going to pay your mortgage? Literally, unless they're going to pay your mortgage, fuck them. My
mate said that to me the other day. I like a little bit bothered because my close mates and me, you know, my partner and whoever, I tell. Yeah. But it's like the outside. It's people that you don't even speak to. You're thinking like, and it's like, why do I give a fuck what they think? Yeah. But he said that to me the other day. He said, "Are they going to pay your bills? Fuck them." But I think that really resonated with me when you said that. But you've done all sorts. So you've been on like GB News. You've been on all types of media outlets. How does that happen then? How did that come about?
A lot of it's networking, and also as well, like with PR, people don't realise you create your own PR. Yeah. So I can literally, like say on Twitter, for example, journalists put out looking for property investors to talk about. So if you reply and you send them your little bio,
wow, that is it.
Yeah, that is it again. Like,
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't use Twitter. I don't know. I could be wrong there.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. Well, they're just, but like, people don't realise that people think that all of this stuff comes knocking at your door, but it doesn't. You've got to open the door, you've got to be prepared, you've got to have the skills to follow through with it, but actually you hunt them out. Yeah. And we were talking before about being a performer. That's what gives performers a little bit of an edge, where we make our careers by hunting out these opportunities. Yeah. And like you say, it's going back to the curiosity thing, being curious and finding these opportunities. That's incredible. I never, you don't see many people. It's always Instagram and Facebook. I don't know if that's because it's quite... Because it's like pictures, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite nice on the eye.
Yeah, that's it, but you don't really think much of Twitter. But that's interesting. That's a little tip for people, isn't it? If they want to get me on the media.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. But your book then. So what was the script with that? Like, how was that writing for you? Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy the process?
Or it.
Did you?
I did, yeah. I would say that it took 6 months of my life.
Did it?
Yeah. But I loved it. So I was like really naive with what it would take. 'Cause it's not like I'd come from writing loads of blog posts. I'd gone from nothing to, I'm going to write a book. Yeah. Like, sure I am. Yeah. And then I'd given myself deadlines. And then as I was getting closer to the deadline, being like, okay, I've got chapters of what I want the chapters to be about, but I've not written a word. Yeah. And I said to my husband, I can't write the book here. I need to go away for 2 days and get this book done. Thinking I'm going to write a book in 2 days. Yeah. what an idiot. So I went away for 2 days, came back, and I was like, I've done a third.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh God, we just write this book.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna have to go away for another 2 days.
Yeah.
Literally went into a little barn conversion surrounded by sheep, did not leave the house. You know, some people are like, oh, you know, I need to get out every day. Not me.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy just being curled up, writing, not leaving for days with like my M&S food, loving life.
Yeah.
So basically did that twice. And then because I was in the flow then, it's funny how your brain changes.
Yeah.
My brain changed to be, I was constantly seeing content everywhere of like, just gushing out of me because I'd kind of opened that side of my brain.
Yeah.
So, the writing of the book was amazing.
Yeah.
You do hit like blocks, but then the worst bit was like having to read through it to edit it and cut out all the stuff that's like wordy and just kind of finding your Tourette's where you just put too many reallys or honestlys and all that. You know, that's gotta go.
Yeah.
And that's the worst. He's going over and over and over it. It's to the point now, like if I pick the book up, I'm literally like, oh, I don't want to look at it anymore because I've just like, spent so much time on it.
Yeah. Would you do another one, do you think, or?
If I had something to say, but I don't know what I would write about. But I'm only 37, so I'd love to write another book.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So what are your plans? Like, because what I was going to ask is, obviously, at first it was hectic for you. You know, you were buying, like, what was it, 10 properties a year, was it? That's crazy.
Pretty much, like, generally.
Yeah.
Or like over 14 months.
That's it. So your day-to-day then is probably a lot different than your day-to-day now.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Is it like, obviously I imagine then you were building sites, you were everywhere.
Yeah.
What's the sort of difference now? Is it a lot more chilled now? Are you a lot more content?
Well, now I'm a bit of a lazy bitch.
That's good though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
The thought of doing what I did now, but I've got 2 kids now. I've got 3-year-olds, I've got a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So my life now is much more structured in that I've got to get up, I do the school run. But I've got a lot more time. Well, I say that the kids are like a full-time job.
Aren't they? Yeah.
So the day's so short. You drop them off, and then before you know it, you're getting them again. I'd say my world, it's lovely actually, because I've done a 360. My world used to be totally creative.
Yeah.
Then it went into property, which was very analytical and not so creative. And then I found my way back to being creative again. So Empress Hall's like the most creative project.
Yeah.
If you see the pictures,
I'm going to have
like
a look at that.
There's like a zebra on the wall. There's like zebras on the wall.
Yeah.
Like bright.
Yeah.
Like really dynamic.
Yeah.
And then, it's lovely. Like I feel like I've come back to like my natural balance of like creating and doing the book, and I'm coaching people, and I find a lot of it gives me a lot of energy to do that. It's not like it excites me when I can see how excited they are for their projects. That makes me buzz. That makes me buzz. And as well, I spotted a gap in the market. So when I did my training, I did a mentorship where my mentor came to Blackpool and we did 3 days together viewing houses and putting in offers, and that's where I found my first flip through that. And then because that company doesn't exist anymore, I don't know of many companies doing that. So off the back of my book, I launched doing these like VIP mentorships. Yeah. And they're quite tiring for everyone, for me and for them, because they're long days and it's real like action orientated. We're not sitting around. It's like, let's view houses, let's put offers in. But I feel like that's really rewarding because it's kind of been that small part of their like the start of their journey. And again, it's that thing of like, when we're doing it, I'm like, this is it. This is all it is. And they're like imagining that there's like all this extra stuff. And I'm like, there's little tips I'm giving them, little giveaways that are really helping. But actually, I'm like, if you do this long enough, you're going to get an offer accepted. Like it will happen. You need to do, this is what I've done. You need to do that and it will work.
Yeah. That's it. It's like you were saying before, though, you just needed that approval from someone who's been there to say, just do it. Yeah. But like, it's interesting. But I know a few people who've been coached by you. Like, everyone said you're amazing. Literally said you're amazing.
I attract these gorgeous people. Yeah. Like everyone I coach, I'm like, oh, they're just lovely souls. Yeah.
That's it. But you've done that for years, though, haven't you? Obviously, you're doing it for yourself, sort of thing now. But you've done it years ago.
Yeah.
So what was that then? Because obviously you done the training course. You smashed out the park, and they obviously it's like a success story sort of thing, wasn't it? So then you become a trainer there, and then it sort of happened from there, didn't it? So tell us a bit about that. How was that? Is that has that helped you with your training now, your coaching now, I imagine?
Oh, yeah, massively. So I think in any industry, if you can learn to speak, it gives you such an advantage.
Yeah.
If you can speak, you can literally like touch people in such a way. You can move them, you can change them. So that was like a massive blessing. That once I'd done my training, I'd become a bit of a success story. They asked me to become a speaker for the company, and it was for Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robbie Fowler Property Academy, Martin Roberts. And they kind of sent me all over the world doing it, which was incredible. So I had to learn on the job. So I definitely wasn't the best speaker when I started, but I kind of learned.
Yeah.
And we had like some speaker training and kind of crafted it. Not done it properly for a long time since Grayson was a baby. So we're talking 6 years ago. But it's an invaluable skill that I've learned. So because I've kind of learned that I've got the background of events and knowing how to speak and coach and mentor, it kind of allows me to have that confidence to feel like now I've got Empress Hall to go, I'm going to put a day event on and not feel like I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm like, it's kind of bread and butter for me to be able to just talk.
Yeah, and you're obviously a singer as well.
Yeah.
So sure, is that quite a lot of transferable skills or not? Obviously the public speaking side maybe, or...
So do you know what's so funny about being a singer is so many singers, and I was the same, couldn't speak to an audience very well. Because you sing. So the worst thing for a singer is like the song ends and then you've got that really like gross, cheesy, like weird banter in between a song when no one's asked and they're all just chatting. And then you've got to be like, thanks for not clapping. Anyway, my next...
You are an amazing singer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You are. So... Yeah, so do you think that... So is there any transferable skills from that? Because being articulate, like I'm trying to learn to speak a bit better. I was trying to learn to speak a bit better. So like, I think there's definitely a skill in learning how to articulate and stuff like that. But yeah, even public speaking for me is fucking scary. Like, but
it is scary.
Yeah,
it is scary, and it's so interesting that even after all these years, like if you go to networking and you've got like a 60-second pitch. I can say my bit, but then afterwards my heart is pounding out my chest, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, so you still have the physical reaction. It takes you a little while to like settle into it. But I've got the confidence to know that I can deliver it, but I might be having a bit of a panic attack whilst it's happening. You know what I mean?
That's like me. I've got dry mouth. I'm like this, shaking.
Inside, God. And it's like, I need to,
Yeah, that's surprising though, because obviously you've probably sung in front of like tons and tons of people. So it's surprising that, but I suppose it is a bit different.
But it's just a habit, and I think like once you're out the habit, like now, oh God, to go and sing now, I think I would absolutely shit.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, it's embarrassing as well, because singing's personal.
Yeah.
It is personal.
Yeah.
So you're like sharing a bit of yourself. So that's why I've got this like, about singing, where I'm like, and also that as well. So I had a phase where I was like, I really miss singing. I'm just going to do a few gigs. And this was only a few years ago, and it was actually the year my nan died. And my last gig I did was on the day my nan died. Oh man. God. And I didn't want to cancel because I didn't want to let them down. Yeah. So I rocked up, literally like an out-of-body experience. Wow. I've got a Tesla, I didn't charge my car. So I turned up and I'd like no charge left to get home. I'd forgot my mic. I rocked up and I was all like weird. And luckily I knew the compere because I'd worked there years and years ago. And I went, Mickey, I was like, my nan's died. And he went, oh God, are you all right, chick? And I went, I forgot my mic. And he was like, it's all right, baby, you can use mine. Yeah. And it was this horrible experience of like, I felt, and obviously my nan had died, so there's that, but I had this feeling of just feeling really sad for myself of like, why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm here. I've got babies at home. Yeah. I'm knackered. Why am I just had this real like horrible feeling of like, actually I don't want to be judged today. Because when you're a singer, you kind of go in, I'm here to entertain you. Everyone have a good look and tell me what you think. And I just had this feeling of like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
at this point as well, you had some properties, and you still
didn't need the money. I wasn't doing it for the money.
You're just doing it for the love of it.
And I just thought, I can do this in my kitchen. Actually. And like, not run out of electric.
Do you know? Do you know what just blew my mind?
Go on.
That you took your own mic. Is that what singers did? The singers have their own mic.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Why is that incredible?
I don't know. I just thought you got given a mic when you're there. So it's like a football player has his football booth. It's sort of like that.
Got your own mic.
That's crazy. I don't know. I just never ever thought of that.
You got your own mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you plug your own mic into the speaker desk.
I suppose you want to know, because if you go there and they've got
a sound desk sometimes.
Yeah. Because if you go there and they've got a crap mic, then
it was a crap mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shit mic.
Was it?
Shit mic. Smelly.
Yeah.
Stinky mic. We use someone else's mic. It's got all the red from like where someone else really like push it. Fuck's sake.
Oh,
not
God.
COVID safe.
Yeah. That's it. So obviously the Empress Hall one was a massive project. Any more in the pipeline like that this year at all? Or
well, I'm still getting over the post-traumatic stress on mortgaging it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great time to be trying to mortgage it.
I can imagine, yeah.
So I've got the mortgage offer. I think once Empress Hall is mortgaged and it's like the close of the deal,
yeah,
I think I'll feel a bit more like boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been, like I say, I still find property quite stressful.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think I want to just close that off. I think my next project will be a flip and a HMO. And then I also am quite a big believer in testing what you've got. Yeah. So in the last 3 years, I bought 11 serviced accommodations. Let's see how they run. Yeah, yeah. Like, let's just see how they perform. Because the serviced accommodation market has changed so much. Like, 2021
yeah, definitely.
flew because of COVID, no one could go abroad. 2022 was like kind of all right, a bit up and down. 2023 wasn't great. 2024's flying. Yeah. The difference between, I know we're only in February, but the difference between this year and last year is insane in terms of demand. So I haven't even had a long enough track record to know what's normal. You know, people are like, well, what's the norm? And I'm like, I couldn't tell you. Like, it's so, yeah. So I actually want to just keep testing it, keep playing with it before I then go, let's buy another 12.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I ran one in 2021 and I don't even know. I don't know if I was just uneducated at the time, but I don't even know if there was like management companies at the time. I don't know. It seemed May 2020 sort of time, and there was not many. There's still not many management. So I was managing myself, and I just thought, you know what, this is not for me. So I got out of it. I got a couple of long bookings. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Next minute you get the shorter bookings, and I was just like,
the shorter one. Oh God, yeah. It's not. People think it's a property business. It is a hospitality 100%. Business. 100%. It's not a property business, mate. Yeah. It's hospitality. Yeah. Your cleaners, turnovers, reviews, photos. Yeah. It's like you've got to be good at advertising, promotion. You know, like you can't just you can stick it on booking.com and sit back and hope for the best, but really you need to have so many different strategies on getting direct bookings.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, Kristina, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. If anyone's looking to connect or get coached by you or any of the above, where's best to find you? Yeah,
so I hang out on Instagram, so it's at The Good Life Property Investor, if you can tag that.
Of course.
And then my website is my name, www.KristinaCastellina.co.uk. Brilliant. And you'll find all my stuff there. And I'm launching an online course, so that'll be on there soon.
Brilliant.
As well.
And go cop the book as well.
Get the book, starting from zero.
Yeah, brilliant. Again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.